Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of those out there in MSP land. I'm Ray Orsini, and joining me soonish, hopefully, is Sean Lardo, evangelist and mastermind behind the ConnectWise PitchIT contest. But for now, thanks to each of you for joining me. Sorry, I had a little something in my throat. Thanks to each of you for joining us today. We're just like previous episodes. We're going to be doing some amazing things, covering some amazing people that are in this year's 2023 ConnectWise PitchIT contest. These two guests that we have today are very interesting. One works with sales and marketing, another with cyber risk assessments. But before all that, we just want to go over some housekeeping. This is live. It's going across YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Make sure you like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or anything, please put them in the chat. This is not going to be death by PowerPoint. This is going to be having a lot of fun, learning from each other, and hopefully getting all the information you want to know about the vendors in your space. And if you can't stay the whole time, because we are in the middle of a workday for most people on the Western Hemisphere, you can go back and watch the recording. It'll be available immediately after, right at the same link. So to get started, I just want to let you know what the format's going to be. We're going to have each guest come on. We're going to talk to them for about 10 minutes or so, talking about their company, their background, how they got into the space, why they're part of PitchIT. And then we'll go back and forth with questions, and then do the same with the second guest. And then at the end, we'll have the fun. We'll do the 30-second elevator pitch, and we will have live voting to make sure that so you, the audience, can tell us who we have, who you like best, who you think's doing best so far. And let's look at the chat to see who we have in the audience. I see Dr. Zoidberg's already there, calling out Sean. Thanks, Zoidberg. We appreciate that. Hopefully he'll be in shortly. And yeah, so thanks so much for joining. I think now is a great time to get started. Our first guest, let's go ahead and welcome our first guest from, I'm going to butcher the name, Telivy. Please help me welcoming Mr. Naren Sathiya. How you doing, Naren?
Hey, I'm doing well, Ray. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. I apologize I didn't get a minute to talk to you before we got started. Is it Naren, Naren? How do you pronounce it?
Yeah, it's like rain with the NA in front of it. So Naren.
Naren. Oh, that's easy. All right, cool. So Naren, and about Telivy, did I butcher that too, or
no, you actually got that pretty close. Yeah, Telivy.
Telivy. Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah,
That's not bad. So cool. So what exactly is Telivy, man? What is this?
Yeah, so we're essentially a cyber risk assessment platform where we focus on identifying and analyzing the cyber liabilities that you have. So for us, instead of kind of increasing, there's a lot of digital surface exposure that small businesses have these days, and they need to be focusing on really protecting their customers' data, right? And just making sure they're complying with regulations. And we help MSPs help their clients do that in a very easy way.
Okay, so tell me about your background. How'd you get started in this space? How did you come to this MSP community?
Yeah, so in fact, I started out my career as an engineer at IBM. I was on their payments and security team there, and then quickly kind of did a few startups, and most recently, I was in a insurtech startup. So when we started Telivy, we started building software for actually cyber insurance carriers, and what we realized there was for cyber risk, there's really no good way of actually automating or actually good way to find out what the liabilities there are, right? Cyber insurance carriers are just asking a lot of questions and application forms and such. And we soon look at MSPs, and a lot of times MSPs are also kind of sending out network security
Mhm.
type of tools as like a full risk assessment, and that's not really what a risk assessment is about, or it's only a very partial way of it. So what we did is basically build a full platform using 8 different tools to actually garner a full holistic view of a business's security posture and put that in a report, and it could be used for sales purposes, for monitoring purposes and such as well.
So there's always a lot of contention in this space, especially when it comes to auditing or any kind of risk assessment. Because I'll use pen test for example. It's an overused term, and honestly, 90% of the time it's out there, I see it. It does not align with CISA definitions. So talk to me about the risk assessment here. And you said there's parts that you don't think it goes far enough. So of these 8 or 9 components you've incorporated in here, can you give us an idea of like what's in there that you think are better quality than that MSPs might not be thinking about when they're looking at doing risk assessments?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen a lot of MSPs, I mean, to your point, right, use pen test tools to almost call it as a risk assessment. And what pen testing essentially looks at a set of vulnerabilities, tries to exploit one or two of them, and tries to kind of go in deep into that specific exploit. But really, a true risk assessment is being able to look at multiple different areas of your security and see what the kind of the liabilities and the assets are there, right? So we, for example, look at your network, we look at what type of applications you're using, the data on that, the IAM policies, and also awareness and training for the employee side. So we look at all that and try to find different type of threat vectors on it, and give essentially insights and analytics on that. So it becomes a whole holistic process as opposed to just looking at just the network aspect of it, or just trying to exploit one vulnerability of it.
Okay, more complete picture. And so we have a question here from Matt Fox asking, does your offering include third-party risk assessment?
Yeah, so we also do external risk assessments as well. So you can put in multiple different domain names, and you can see exactly what the business's vendors, their security profile is as well, and that also takes this into account too.
Excellent. And you answered part of this. I just want to go into a little more deep dive. Dr. Zoidberg says, can you use this for pre-sales assessment, which is one of the very first things you had mentioned.
Yeah.
But he says, in other words, can I use it for fully managed or a pre-commitment drop an agent? How easy would it be for a non-technical person to deploy?
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little about that process?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly right, right? That's the whole concept that we built this on. There is there's one agent, you deploy that using your RMM or MDM tool, and then it downloads a bunch of other tools, a lot of them which are inbuilt in house, and a lot of them they're also external. And we do vulnerability management, we do PII data classification, we look at your passwords on your browsers and see how sensitive or how many breaches have they been found in. We look at what type of applications that you might be perusing. So there's multiple different kind of tools that are being deployed here, and with just one agent, you're able to get all that information. And then we use some amazing partners as well internally, such as Nodeware, PII tools, Octafile. So there's a few tools that we use internally that gets kind of deployed with only one agent here.
How so let's talk about that a little bit, because one of the big deals when it comes to MSPs is having them have tools that that integrate with their ecosystem, right? So I know part of the PitchIT program, You will by the end of this, every contestant should have some kind of integration with Manage or PSA or one of the ConnectWise products. But you mentioned several already. You mentioned PIA, for example, is in the MSP space. Can you talk to us about how are your tie-ins with the MSP ecosystem tools?
Yeah, so essentially, I mean, we are multi-tenant first, and we focus on having access to putting in multiple different clients. We have integrated with all these different platforms, and a lot of it is also proprietary built. And the way we do that is we handle all the licensing behind it, and it's almost like a real-time dashboard that instead of going to multiple different tools, deploying them, going to each platform, getting that data, and kind of putting that all together in a report, you essentially just go into one platform and you see all the data come in real time there, and then you're able to export a report or kind of put it on monitoring and see kind of real time notifications across multiple different tools. Sorry, Ray, I'm not able to hear you.
Sorry about that. I was muted. So I'm looking here at your background, and I see that you, because of our audience, I want to call this out and make sure it's not a typo. You worked with Hippo Insurance.
Yep, that's right.
Okay. Have you gotten the HIPAA jokes already? And the about because that's one of the most common misspellings of HIPAA. So I'm sure
Oh,
somebody in the MSP world calls it out.
oh, it's I think Hippo Insurance. It was just named after the animal, really.
That's
uh,
pretty awesome.
yeah, we definitely had a
That's,
lot of kind of references to hippos all around the office. But yeah.
so all right. So and talk to me about your experiences with PitchIT. How has that been so far? Any big takeaways? Any big learning moments?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really amazing for us, right? We've been able to really get the insights from industry experts that come from ConnectWise. So they've been doing a really good job there, kind of educating us on how to identify different types of MSPs and kind of using different patterns such as OML models and such, really to find out where they are on a maturity curve, and be able to have
Okay.
the right conversations with them, right? So it's been
Mhm.
great for our sales and marketing purposes. And also I think the second huge part is meeting other very fantastic vendors that can really kind of work together and see how we can really provide a good solution overall, either with integrations or either kind of creating a marketplace or whatnot, and making sure that MSPs have a very integrated solution that they can go towards too.
So, and what about the learning opportunities from like some of the Cameo coaches? I know some of the stuff is going to talk about M&A. Some of the stuff talks about the competitive market, the research. Have there been any takeaways from those coaches that kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, I think as part of the research and stuff, and the customer market segmentation, that's where the OML models and such really come in, and there were a lot of the ConnectWise staff itself that kind of came in and gave a lot of that information, so that was really helpful. And we also had a lot of one of the previous speakers was Cam, winner of just last year's PitchIT from Alert Ops. He gave a
Mhm.
really good kind of primer on how to really connect with other MSPs and talk about the value that you're bringing in, not just about the tools that you're offering, right? So kind of moving that conversation from technical to really being a business risk advisor, or being a business advisor to the MSPs, and that's been really helpful for even our sales and onboarding calls itself, because it kind of moves us away from just talking about the technical aspect of things and really talk to MSPs about how it
Right.
affects their bottom line, how it affects the top line, how it affects their clients. I think at the end of the day, that's what's important.
That makes sense. And I see some questions here. Zoidberg asks, is there a team of experts that can leverage to help me understand the reports if I don't understand them? Common question when it comes to security and risk. Um,
Yeah,
how do you guys approach that?
yeah. I mean, so like one of the other guiding principles here is how can we bridge the gap between three different folks, right? One is the security experts. The second are technical folks but don't have security understanding, and then the third group is just non-technical folks and non-security experts there. So how do we essentially produce a report that can be understood, one with detailed findings that security experts and technical experts can look into, but then also another, almost a summary that non-technical folks such as clients or even brokers, carriers can actually understand that. So which is why we essentially offer a grade in each one of these areas of assessment. We offer benchmarks on how well the user is doing in comparison with the other companies in the own verticals. These are essentially kind of the translations that we offer, and we do also have support, kind of as part of the paid service. We do have support to help them understand the reports and even kind of help monitor their security posture and stuff as well. Sorry, you're muted, Ray.
Yep. Sarah asks, what products do you guys integrate with?
So currently we're working on our ConnectWise integration there, or the PSA integration there. But internally, we have integrated with multiple different products. So Octafile, for example, Nodeware, Augment. There's a couple of dark web findings tools there as well. So there's a multiple, and then some of them, as I said earlier, are also proprietary. And we also run multiple different Nmap scans under the hood too. So there's a lot of kind of integrations going on there.
All right. We got here, are you channel only?
Yep. Our main focus is focusing and just distributing via different managed service partners. Yep.
Okay. And do you have public pricing, or do they need to reach out for pricing on the MSP side?
Yeah, please sign up with us. You get 14 days free trial and a free risk assessment. You can do that on one of your clients or even yourself. And we'll be able to kind of sit down with you during the onboarding call and really explain out those reports to you. And then we price, depending on what type of risk assessment and the subscription you would like, we price per endpoint, which is very affordable. And at least that's the feedback that we get from current MSPs.
Good to know. All right. Well, thank you for your time, Naren. We're going to bring you down so we can give your fellow contestant time to talk, and then we'll bring you back up for the 30-second pitch off. All right. So thank you very much. So for this, and make sure if you guys like this, keep the questions coming, keep it going. I really appreciate it. Keeps us moving along, and also it helps the contestants know what's important to the MSP audience. Very important. And if you like this stuff, be sure to like and subscribe. So our next guest is recently renamed his product, formerly known as MSPToolbox, now known as B2BToolbox. Please help me in joining in welcoming Mr. Norm McConkey.
Hello.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on today, Ray.
I don't know. Thank you. So let's get the stuff right off the bat. Let's get it addressed. You just renamed MSPToolbox to B2BToolbox. Can you give us some of the insight? People love the inside baseball. Can you tell us why?
Sure. And Ray, I think you're explaining why we just did it, because you even said MSPToolbox. The company was actually MPSToolbox, which back in the day would have meant Managed Print Services. So our hair, that's exactly why we did it. Like, and the other reason is because as soon as I mention anything about printers, most people in IT want to, grab a virtual tomato and throw it at me, because so much, there's not a lot of love in the IT community for print and printers. So we renamed it B2BToolbox. Most of the people, if you look on the other side of the fence, those that live in the, in the print world, let's say, they obviously realize that the days are kind of numbered and the importance of office print has waned, to say the least. So many of them are moving into the IT space, and they kind of pushed us into this, following the customers. So the renaming of B2BToolbox is really more of a recognition that we're not just within one particular, part of the market space. We can service and help any customer when it comes to IT. But the real message and the real purpose for anybody looking into our product is it's an e-commerce platform. It's a B2B e-commerce platform that IT resellers, managed service providers can use. It integrates all of the products that they would buy from their typical, let's say, standard distributors like Ingram and TD Synnex. So all the products and inventory and pricing that they have access to, we can take those products in and bring them in, along with all of the products that they may buy directly from, let's say, a manufacturer, or even if you're an MSP and you have your own SKUs or products or services, you can put those on a website, and your customers can come onto your website and buy anything IT related, from a laptop to a headset, a monitor, a printer if they needed to, and yeah, any of your services, and purchase those. So search, see, click, buy, and that's what we provide to the MSP community.
You weren't kidding. There's some very interesting words going on in the chat about printers, talking about crying. So it's not. You're good. And I do have somebody that asked, what did MPS stand for before? Was it printers, or what was MPS before?
Yeah, managed print services. So back in the day, when print was just the most important IT thing that somebody needed to do, you needed to manage that. So, when printing was mission critical, it's not anymore. If your printer goes down, go to another printer. Use your phone and scan an app. It's not. Generally speaking, for most environments, it's not that critical anymore. But managed print services, and that's really a lot of our heritage. Even if you go even further back to where did we evolve? In 2004, my former company, Print Fleet, was actually the vendor of the year for Enable, because we took the Enable platform and enabled people that were using that to start remotely monitoring printers, bring back that data, and then care and feed, supply, and bill for them accordingly. So that's where we came from.
I got you. So I see here, Zoidberg's asking, does this let me combine like Utilize and inventory management, then allow people to buy directly from me? There was a similar question here. Is this a replacement for a quoting platform, or is this self-service? Where does this fall within that cradle to grave plan?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you think about it, your distributor has all the products. If we use Ingram as an example, they have all the products that you as an MSP are entitled to purchase from them. So you might be authorized for HP, you might be authorized for Lenovo, and you have a set of products that you can acquire. And Ingram will say, here's your price, here are the products that you can acquire. Utilize, or a product, so that's all they give you, but they don't give you any rich product data. So if you're trying to build a website, you would end up, if you just mirrored what the distributor has, you just have like a spreadsheet of products and prices with no descriptions, and you wouldn't know what the heck they are. So we take that information, what you have as a reseller, and we combine it with that offline product database, like an Utilize, so that a customer can look, and they can look up a product like, let's say, laptops or a category. Then they could find all the ones that you had, and in addition to that, you as a reseller could also neuter that and say, well, I don't want to sell every laptop, and I don't want to sell every vendor, because I don't want my customers buying a Chromebook. I might end up having to do a lot of extra service on that. So you can isolate those SKUs exactly the way you want. It's self-service, and it's a really good question too about how people acquire this, because without e-commerce, the expectation, I guess, from an MSP is customers always going to call you when they want something. Do they though? Like if their expectation is that if I need a laptop, I'm just going to go online and buy it. And if you can't provide it, they're going to go somewhere like CDW or Amazon that can. So not only, in your current quoting system is, from an end user standpoint, even internally, that's cumbersome. From a customer standpoint, it's unacceptable. So, really, once you understand that it is possible to have e-commerce as an MSP, you kind of have to provide it to your customers.
Hmm. And to be fair, there's lots of studies at this point from Gartner, Forrester, Canalys, talking about marketplace being the go-to business initiative. If not 2023, definitely 2024. I know at I serve on the CompTIA Channel Development Advisory Council, and marketplace is something that's often top of the conversation. But ideally, yeah, we want all our clients buying from us, but we have a question here. Well, besides the death to printers and like office space. Besides that, there's a question here, or a comment: getting customers to come to me in the first place is the problem. Do you find having a marketplace like this helps to that end?
Yeah, I see a couple of examples there, and I'm watching the questions as they go by. So that is a critical issue. But I think as a managed service provider, you have a really good hook. If they're your customers and they don't come to you to buy that hardware, there's a consequence to them going somewhere else. So if a customer, let's say they needed, the example would be, let's say it's 4:30 on a Monday and a new employee starts tomorrow. That employee needs to come to work, show up, they have all their equipment, they can start working, correct? If you can't supply that, or your current workflow would say, well, call me, right? And I will outfit that, and then I will send that to the customer. That isn't really acceptable. But as an IT service provider, I think what you could say is, if you don't go to me and you go to a place like CDW or Amazon, there's a high risk that you're going to buy an inappropriate product, something that's too expensive, something that we don't support, something that's going to end up costing you more in the long run. So I think, there's a question of, what can we do to make the current customers have to come to you? And then what can we do so that new customers, and that's a real problem, I think, for MSPs too. When a new smaller business needs a product, they're going to go online to buy it. And if you're nowhere to be found, their expectation is to buy it online, they're not going to go and call you. So if your call to action is a phone call or an email, you're not going to win. So at least we can get you to play in that space.
That absolutely makes sense. And there's some sentiment in here. I see here, Sarah says it sounds like it may be complicated to set up. And then Dean Zoidberg, I'm looking for the past. I know he had made the comment of asking, will you help them set it up? How complicated is this?
So it's a good question. I want to say it's not complicated, but I'm old enough to be in the industry that there's not a vendor alive that says, "Oh, it's really easy to implement." but
I'm one of them. I'm definitely
honesty,
I've done the same thing.
when you think about it, our feeds from a product catalog like Eatalize are already set up. The feeds that you're going to get from your distributor, like Ingram or TD Synnex, we have over 100 customers. We've been doing this for a few years. We have good enough relationships with them that, MSP so-and-so wants to bring this product online. They give us authorization. We pull that in. We have a checklist and an onboarding piece. So from the time that you say, yes, B2BToolbox, we want to do business, we want an e-commerce store, to actually going to your customers and saying, here's our store, come and buy, that should generally be 30, 60, 90 days. The holdup isn't on our part. It's generally making we have a checklist of things that you need to go through. Should take about probably 20 to 30 hours of actual time on the MSP standpoint to get this initiative underway. Lots of time afterwards, but that's how long it takes to go to market.
Okay, that's pretty reasonable. You got to. I'm pretty sure this one's a tongue-in-cheek. If there's a RIP interactive to the printer, attached to the printer, does it use it? I think we'll stick with this one, though. This seems a little more on topic. If I buy directly from the manufacturers, especially Dell, can I pull that data in there? Can a customer build a solution live, or is it only preset SKUs?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. So not only can you bring in, so we do some integrations with different distributors, but if you have some key products that you want to buy from them, they tend to be in the catalog product database. If they're not, we can build those as well. But a service SKU is a good example. That's something that is yours alone. Those also can find their way into the system. We have people that probably have 200 or 300 SKUs that they have their own inventory from, or their own service SKUs. They bring those in and put them in a particular part of the catalog. So yes, you.
So what about distributors? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, you.
So what about programmatic access? Like if there was something, RPA is a big deal right now. So there's tools like, you mentioned PIA, Roost, plus the traditionals, right? Zapier, 8N8, blah, blah. You support, and there we go. There's Sarah asking the exact same question. Do you guys have an API that can be consumed and used to push data into this?
So currently we have a published, when you think about the workflow, customer puts it, you can put in a quote. So let's say a customer has a standard new customer starts, you want them to buy a standard set of products. You can push that into our system. When that order takes place, and the front end of our system is a Shopify architecture front end. So people can buy, you don't need, the hosting is all done for the store. The financial product that you're using in terms of buying and transacting, that's all set up in the store. There's a published JSON that you're able to access every time an order comes in to pull that through. Most of the time, they want that order to work directly with the to go back into the accounting system like QuickBooks or eAutomate or various different products that people use. So it's very easy to get that information back into that system just by accessing whichever fields you feel like you need to via the JSON.
Gotcha. Okay. So they can push data into it as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I see that Aaron asks, is it a Shopify front end or is it like Shopify? No, it's a Shopify front end. So
okay. So
when a customer goes to, you're going to have store.msp.com if that's what you want, if that's how you want to set up your store. When they hit that store, that is going to be hosted by Shopify. When they search for a product, they're accessing the B2B toolbox that's providing all of that intelligence, the price levels, the products that you want to have available directly to you. When that order comes in, that's when it comes back into the B2B toolbox, and the back-end architecture is available to you to pull from via the JSON.
So, and Zoidberg's echoing my statement here, or I'm echoing his, says, this is awesome. Why am I only hearing about it now? What channels should I have been following previously to know about a solution like this? It's a valid question. I mean,
so I think that, I guess that then you could take the, you're welcome. That's why, people listen to your podcast and get valuable information every day. No, in all seriousness, I'm going to say our heritage was print. So we were doing all the things we could to help print resellers migrate into IT. We eventually, and while there are some of our best customers, have a heritage in office print, the reality is this is where the action is. I kind of woke up one day and said, there's 2,000 resellers that wake up every day and try to tell businesses that print is the most important thing in their environment. And then there's 150 other thousand MSPs and IT folks saying, why the heck do you print? Why don't we sell you this other product? So I switched teams. I switched my company name. So that's why we're doing what it now is over.
Forget those printers. No, I like that. You're definitely in good company here. Yeah, Zoidberg's appreciating that too. Sarah brings up something I was actually going to ask then. She says, that she really likes that it's Shopify. One of the challenges we encounter with vendors that come to the space is you have an unknown security posture. You have an unknown understanding of, what shortcuts they may have taken, where you've gotten Shopify has an incredibly rich and very well documented security posture in the space. So it's actually really nice being smart about adding what you can add to it versus trying to recreate the wheel on your own. So I agree with Sarah 100% on that. I see Richard asking, I'm sorry?
I was going to say, that's an excellent point. We just went through a re-architecture and a redesign of our program because the actual interface between B2BToolbox and Shopify is an app. In order to manage that app, there's everything from GDPR requirements that you have to have to encryption within the database and back and forth and security. So we went through a pretty intense audit, and I agree. That's while from a development standpoint, it's like, good grief, we have to do all this work, and it didn't seem to have a benefit, a business benefit, but there certainly is for those that know what they're looking for.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Norm. We're going to take you down for a second so we can start putting up polls. We do have some more questions here from Zoidberg and Rich, so we will bring them up shortly. But now is the time that we've all been waiting for. Now is the time where we actually give the elevator pitch contest. So they're going to come on. They're going to have 30 seconds on the clock. and they're going to give their pitch, and you will vote for it, and the winner, as always, gets bragging rights. So that's all we're giving you right now. But let's go ahead and put the poll up, and let's bring our two. Let's go ahead and bring our two contestants back up, Norm and Naren. Are you guys prepared for this? You've been working for several weeks. This isn't Connect yet, but the stage is hot.
I'm just going to jump in and say, I don't think this is fair. Like, we've been working on a 6-minute pitch, and you just asked to condense it down to 30 seconds. So the elevator went from, I don't know, the Sears Tower to, to the local apartment complex in my hometown. So.
You'll be fine. This is the end goal anyway, right? Sean and I have talked over and over again about the importance of being able to condense it down into something distilled and potent. And this is your opportunity. Naren, since you were on first, we'll give you the go. Oops, let me drag you over there. When the timer starts, you have 30 seconds, sir, starting now.
All right. Hey, we're Telivy. We automate your cybersecurity risk assessments and help you identify and analyze cyber liabilities holistically. Because of the increasing digital surface exposure, small businesses these days need to protect their sensitive data and ensure business continuity and comply with regulations. They need their MSP partners to be more than IT service providers. They need them to be true risk advisors. So come check us out at telivy.com. We will help you be that true risk advisor.
Not bad. Right on the money. Not bad at all. That was pretty good. Norm, how do you think you did, man?
I think he did great. It's going to be tough to beat.
Thank you, Norm.
It's hard too, because as a lifetime founder, business owner, I'm starting up my 10th company in a few weeks. This is it's hard because you have all that heart and soul and passion, and to be able to say it in 30 seconds to get it across where the other person has enough information to want more, but you don't leave the important stuff off the table. It's hard, man. That's why I love doing this stuff.
At the 20-second mark, you still think you have 2/3 of time left, and then suddenly it's like 5 seconds. Just gotta wrap
I love 30 seconds, because when you do 6 minutes, you start with how the hell am I going to fill 6 minutes, and then you start filling it, and you realize 30 seconds, there's none of that. There's no I'm going to have plenty of time left over. So Norm, we're going to give you, man, it's the 30 seconds. You know the rules. When you see the timer start, you go ahead.
Sure. So anybody that's going to talk to you about their business, better, for 5 minutes, 5 seconds, better say, how do I increase revenue, decrease costs, or increase the value of the company? We're talking about e-commerce here. If you don't have e-commerce today, your ability to service customers with your cumbersome quoting system is not going to work. If you don't have e-commerce and you're driving those customers to a company like Amazon and CDW, guess what? They're going to keep all the business once you give them the lead. So come see us at B2BToolbox.com. I think we can help you get more business.
Not too bad. Just a minute off, or a second off. Not too bad at all. I think you did pretty good, both of you gentlemen. Naren, how do you think you did?
That went really well. I love your ending. So quick and to the point.
So, while we're waiting for those votes to come in, and I'm waiting for Phil to let me know we have enough votes in, why don't you guys tell me, there is some overlap in the contestants this year, especially with 27 contestants. It's a lot of people. Sean and I have talked about it not really being competition, being more a co-opetition, seeing how we can help others and bring each other up. Have there been any moments from either of you where you've looked at a competitor for the contest and said, I should integrate with them, I should partner with them to do something because we can do amazing things together? Has that moment happened for you guys at all?
Yeah. We had a really good conversation with one of the other vendors, OSR manage, Tim, from Tim there, and he's been great. Like they're kind of working on a sales platform essentially, right? And we think that we can essentially be part of that whole process and help essentially with the security aspect of it. So there's a lot of kind of integration things, kind of opportunities there, and we kind of use that opportunity to kind of zoom out and look at all the other vendors, and there's almost a way to essentially do a podcast with each one of them and really see how our kind of tools can integrate, or how like our solutions can really play well with each other. And that's something that we are actively doing over the next few weeks as well. So it's a
Awesome.
great opportunity to really start.
I love to hear it. All right, so it's that time. It's time for the results. Phil, let's bring them up. Let's see how we're doing. Ooh, B2B Toolbox by a landslide here. Not bad. I think you both did very well. I want to say. We've had lots of ups and downs with contestants over the past couple of weeks, and we did this last year too. And I will say you guys have fared better than most. So I want to give kudos to you guys. But yeah, Norm, you get your bragging rights.
Listen, that 50 cents gets me a coffee at McDonald's. But look,
there you go. There you go.
Early
important stuff.
Pretty early.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this special MMN Presents the PitchIT 2023 Vendor Spotlights with Telivy and B2B Toolbox. We will include contact information for both gentlemen, for Norm and Naren, in the show notes below, as well as contact information for their companies. Make sure you reach out if this has been good. I have one more question for you, Norm, here in the chat. Give me 1 second.
Is it the one on pricing?
It's the one on pricing. Yep. I wanted to make sure we got that in before we go. He said Sobel's covered this. He's been saying for a long time. He expects MSPs to be able to publish their pricing on the website, click and buy. Back to that marketplace conversation, right? What's your opinion on this, since your life is squarely in that world?
Well, clearly I agree with the fact that you should publish, but I think the idea would be, depends on what people are looking for. Like your first engagement with a new customer is likely going to be that they need a thing, like they fix a problem, like a laptop or something like that. And that's really the lead generation. That new sale is, sales are the new leads, so to speak. But I think the reality is, if you don't offer a price for a product, that other people out there are. So when customers are really interested into if you think about golf, it's all one motion now. It's all one swing from, understanding that I need to research something and I need to solve that problem, and I can do it right away and buy it, I'm going to. So I'm fully in the camp of, you got to publish the pricing, because if you don't, then people are, the customers are just going to go somewhere else to a place that does, and are far more likely to do business with them versus you initially.
And there's always that counterpoint that we see every time this comes up. I think you're going to be judged on price alone, expecting discounting services. That does come up, but we're at time. So I will leave that to, the best thing to do. Go start a conversation with Norm on LinkedIn or Naren on LinkedIn, and see if we can get the two sides to maybe come to the middle somewhere. I'm a firm believer that somewhere in the middle, there's always an answer. But Norm, Naren, thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you guys. Looking forward. Where are you guys at next? What are you doing for promotion next?
Gee, I got to be, this is terrible. One of the marketing folks in our team is just like, Norm, you need to talk to this person next. But we seem to have a few, the folks at PitchIT IT have been amazing. Sean and the gang, they have us lined up with, people like yourself to be able to talk more. And whether we, honestly, it's like whether you win or, hey, I'd love to win the competition. But ultimately,
course, yeah.
The exposure that we get into this space has been critical for us. So that, for that, I'm humble and grateful for that, Sean. So thanks for having us on today.
Absolutely. All right, gentlemen, we'll let you guys go. We got some upcoming events. Phil, can you bring those up for me, please? All right, so our upcoming events, we have the Tech Bar tonight, Tech Bar podcast with myself, special guest host Alex Boyd, and we're going to be hanging out with Rich Cicchini of Cloud Radio. Then we have the PitchIT 2023 Vendor Spotlight with Threat and Compliance Risk, happening on July 18th at 1 p.m. Eastern, and on Tuesdays and Fridays. So tomorrow and on Tuesday, MSP Dispatch, presented by the MSP Network with yours truly and Mr. Tony Francisco. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. It's been a great 50 minutes, and hopefully you learned stuff. I see lots of chats talking about how great the two vendors were. So let's help them. Let's support them all the way through to IT Nation Connect in November. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.